So the next question would be, how does water move into and out of the cell, or oxygen or carbon dioxide? So how do things move across that cell membrane? Well, this particular section is going to talk about the various ways, there's more than one, that things move across the cell membrane. Every living cell exists in a liquid environment that it needs to survive. The cell membrane regulates the movement of dissolved molecules from the liquid on one side of the membrane to the liquid on the other side of the membrane. The goal when we're moving things from one side to the other is to reach equilibrium. The cytoplasm, which you learned in the previous chapter of the cell, contains a solution of many different substances in water. It has all of the organelles that are in there too, the mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, etc. The substances dissolved in a solution are called solutes, and you learned about this way back in chapter 2 also. The concentration of a solution is the mass of solute in a given volume of solution. And what we're going to be talking about in this section is how things move to reach equilibrium, because that's our goal. Our goal is to have equal things both on the inside and the outside. The first thing you're going to learn about is diffusion. Diffusion is when particles move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. Now I'm going to back up the video so you can watch this again. You notice that the particles are very concentrated in the corner and then they spread out. So once again, diffusion is when particles move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. Substances diffuse across membranes without requiring energy. So what this is saying is when something moves from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration, no energy is required. Absolutely no energy, because it's going with the concentration gradient. It's a normal transition from going from a high to a low. Think about you're at the top of a hill and you're going from the top of a hill down to the bottom of a hill. You can just go down the bottom to the bottom without any energy. So when you're going from high to low, once again, no energy is required. Diffusion is what's called a passive process. So diffusion is passive, which means no energy is used to make the molecules move. Once again, diffusion is passive and no energy is required to make these move. They have a natural kinetic energy, and kinetic means energy that moves. So if you look at the animation, they're moving from high to low. Oops. Diffusion of liquid. This you've seen before. If you drop food coloring into a beaker of water, it will just, if left over time, everything will diffuse, and eventually that clear water is going to be a specific color because it's going from, once again, an area of high concentration with that dye. It slowly spreads out into the water where eventually an equilibrium is going to be reached. So I'm going to say it again, and you're going to get tired of hearing me saying this. They move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. They pass through the cell membrane. So once again, the solute, which are these particles in this particular example, move what's called down the concentration gradient. They move down from high to low, and you can see that in the above picture. So let's sum this up. Diffusion is, there is a high concentration of solute on one side of the membrane as compared to the other side. Solute particles move from the side of the membrane with a high concentration of solute to the side of the membrane with a low concentration of solute. One thing that you have to remember when we're talking about diffusion, we're talking about solute particles moving from high to low. The solute particles will continue to diffuse across the membrane until equilibrium is reached. So our goal is to have the same number on both sides.